A name so nice, you say it thrice. Hey, everybody. My name's Jesse.
And I'm Adi.
And we just finished watching Beetlejuice tonight. Now, you might ask yourself, why did they only name it Beetlejuice? Well, I personally think they're probably hinting at a third part, and not spoiler alert, but there's some stuff that might or might not hint at that. That's all I'm going to say. But,
no spoilers.
My personal opinion. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly about this film. Starting off with the good. This film has all the nostalgia bait you could possibly want. You know, you've got Danny Elfman, of course, back with the iconic score. You cannot go wrong with that. The art direction is perfect. Everything looks like where we left it. Mm-hmm. And the cast kills it. You know, no one feels out of place. Even some of our new players, like we got Willem Dafoe, we got Jenna Ortega, and they don't just play characters that they've played in another show or another movie. It's a character that seems fitting for the movie, despite there being some characters that didn't really seem to play too well with the rest of the cast on screen, right? But that is for the rest. What do you think was some of its high points?
I do like that they took us back to the original town, because at the beginning all the characters start off in different towns. I think Lydia, is that her name? Yeah, Lydia's in New York City with her daughter. I don't know where Delia's character is, but they all converge back into the town for an event that I don't want. Is it in the trailers?
No. But it is they do make it. There's a reason for them to.
They come back for an event, and the camera pans over the town, and you get to see the house on the hill. You get to see the bridge. So straight from the beginning, they're bringing you back to the first film. So I really enjoyed that. I like that most of the movie took place in the town and adjacent to the house and whatnot. So I thought that was nice. I do think the casting and the characters were probably the highest point of the film for me. I liked seeing most of the older cast return, because we just watched the first movie yesterday. So it's fresh in my mind. So I liked seeing them return, and I liked the new characters that they brought on, and I think they did a good job at handing off the franchise to the new characters.
True. Yeah. Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Without giving anything away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They do. Yeah. Almost. It's the passing of the torch.
Yeah.
I do want to note that we didn't watch the movie for the first time last night. It was a rewatch.
It was the first time
for you.
I forgot it.
But yeah. On the cast again, they all do a great job. I really liked all of them, and I really liked Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton kills it. He
literally,
he himself as Beetlejuice, it's fantastic. It's iconic. We all know and love the character of Beetlejuice.
Didn't age a day.
So regardless of how the film as a whole feels to you, I still think Michael Keaton is a standout. It's fantastic. But now for the inevitable, the ugly. In this film, then we can both agree that one of the things that holds it back the most is how convoluted the plot is. There's so much going on, and it's not necessarily that it's hard to follow, but it's just unnecessary, maybe.
Yeah, I think they tried to cram in a lot of, I don't know if it was fan service, but a lot of different ideas, and they very loosely made them work. They didn't have enough screen time to fully develop all of the ideas. I think they could have killed off a couple of plots.
I don't even think it was fan service. It would have been fine. Yeah, it was just a bunch of extra. I don't know
if there's been fan theories or whatever.
I don't think so. I think it's just more of an expansion, trying to make the world, or the underworld, or netherworld, I think they call it in the cartoon spin-off, that make it seem more alive, right? There's more than just that small, the gang, right? So in an effort to do that, though, you see more characters, which is fun and interesting, and you do see new and different characters in this underworld, and as per Beetlejuice standards, you get to see how they died and they stayed that way, right? So that's fun and all, but it's just too many of them. It suffers from that same case that Ghostbusters did.
Yeah.
Where they're introducing a lot of new cast, but still trying to keep the old cast in there for nostalgia reasons and to give the movie a sense of purpose and not just make it feel like a rehash or something. So yeah, but to play devil's advocate, it also is nice that it's not like a rehash of the original film.
Yeah, I think they did that. They like touched on that nicely. There's a situation. Was it in the trailer? there's a situation where Jenna Ortega's character goes through something similar that Lydia's character went through in the first movie, and there's certain elements of Lydia's character's experience that Jenna gets to experience. So I was like, oh, like they had to draw, the door or whatever, or they had to do this, but it's not overpowering for the new storyline. It's just kind of like, oh, you get a little nod, a little reference to the previous one.
Yeah, the elements are there. They do try to like rehash the elements to make it feel classic, right? So a lot of the same thing, like a dance number, or like you said, the drawing of the door and stuff like that. Like
see the book, the handbook of the undead.
Yeah, so it's all there again, but in a different sense.
Yeah.
So that works really well. Yeah. It's good that it did. I think the one movie that I'm thinking of is how the first Jurassic World basically was Jurassic Park in just a modern version, and people were just like, oh, you just rehashed it and made it modern, right? So they didn't do that, which was good. But yeah, just too much going on.
Yeah.
I think that was just our biggest gripe overall. Like, the solution to that is just, you could have cut out like what do we say, like 2 storylines, and we still would have reached the same finale, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, and then I think they also spent like an unnecessary amount of screen time on the dance number that didn't seem to advance the plot any which way, and then there was another. Like, it wasn't even a dance musical number. It was just like...
Mind you, there's like a couple of them. So it's not a spoiler. There's a couple of
There's 2 more other dancing scenes that, like, I see why they put them in, but they could have used those 5 minutes for something else. And it was whatever.
And the last thing that, before I forget, was the tensions at the end. Didn't feel as high was the other thing I said.
Yeah, the stakes were not high.
In the first movie, you got Beetlejuice being like, hey, come on, priest. He's telling the priest to hurry up. Russia trying to marry Lydia. Like, come on, let's do it. And in this one, it's all seemed very like, there's no worry, care in the world, which he didn't know what was gonna happen around him, right? To not spoil things, but like, so I guess I see why there was a lack of urgency. But if it was really important to him, I feel like that would have been nice to have some sense of urgency. It just never seemed to go to pick up, to heighten.
Yeah, I thought the like main point, or like the main plot point of the movie, was what happens to Jenna's character, and that gets resolved. Her arc finishes, I think, in like the halfway mark of the movie. So I'm like, okay, cool. What else is there if we've already resolved the main conflict? And then they just like start bringing in these other plot loops.
It also felt
really weird.
To that point, it also felt so one and done. Her arc, it was just like, boom. Like it felt like there should have been more. That in itself could have been a movie. Her arc in itself could have been the movie, but they just solved it immediately. Like, it was super quick, and I was just like, okay.
For such a big deal that they made about like casting her, and then all of the like promo and press that they've been doing, I thought her character was going to be like significantly like more in peril and more important to the movie.
It could have been just her. It could have been she could have.
In my brain, like, after watching this movie, it still seems like Winona Ryder's character is the main.
Which I think, it clearly is,
Well, from all the promo, I thought it was going to be Jenna's movie, and Winona Ryder was just going to make, like, a cameo or something.
That's the problem with bringing back legacy characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get you, because That's what we've been seeing a lot, a lot of recently.
Yeah.
You know, I go back to Ghostbusters, Jurassic World Dominion faces that same problem. You know, we are trying to bring back legacy characters to touch on nostalgia, but then we're also introducing a new cast and trying to bring in a new era, and it just doesn't always work out. Especially when you got a 2-hour movie tops, and I don't even think this movie was 2 hours. I think they probably also hit the 90-minute mark, so it's just there's not enough time to fit everything in there. But it is what it is. So
yeah.
I
have another gripe.
Uh-huh.
I didn't like. I mean, of course, in the first movie, there's different I guess art mediums.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So there's people acting, and then
stop
they
motion.
Stop motion. They do the weird
all
animation
the prosthetics
things.
and everything. Yeah.
The one thing I hated that we only saw once and never again
was
when they're explaining
they're explaining a thing.
They're explaining what happens to a character.
Yes.
And it turns into this weird. Was it clay?
It was like claymation, stop motion, or something.
Yeah, but it was so ugly. I did not appreciate that.
Yeah, I also thought it was very weird. There is this, and
it never came back. They never had another scene with that sort of texture art style.
Yeah,
to tie it in, or
I think they were just trying to make it a dream sequence, right? But
sequence.
Yeah, I mean and obviously the sandworms are stop motion, so it's not unexpected to see that kind of thing. But it was very different from the sandworms.
Yeah.
So again, I kind of understand why it happened, but I felt the same way. It was very just oh, okay, you couldn't have just told the story super quick.
Yeah,
it didn't have to be. Yeah, I would have been fine with just seeing the characters' faces they were telling the story and their expressions, but. Alas,
that's Tim Burton.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tim Burton, but yeah, I think that leads us into our scores. For me, I'd probably have to say I've been contemplating it throughout the film, but
come on, roast it.
Probably just a flat 5. I feel neutral about it. I was thinking about giving it a 6, but I'm gonna be just truthful, and I'm just gonna give it a flat 5. Yeah, it felt. I was hyped up with all the promo that was happening for the past year or so, but yeah, I literally saw a couple of reviews, and the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes seemed good and everything, and so I didn't walk in overhyped, but I walked in, I was all right, I'm ready to have some fun. I walked in knowing that Beetlejuice wasn't going to be center of the film, just like the last one. We see him 15-20 minutes tops, right? So I already walked in with realistic expectations, but yeah, just all the negatives outweighed the positives for me. So I'm not bummed out about it, because I kind of had a feeling. I was I don't know, I mean, it could be a mixed bag, and it ended up being a mixed bag pretty much for me. So yeah, just a flat 5 out of 10.
Crazy. Is that your lowest score? So
far, I think so, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I liked it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. But it's not, I wouldn't rewatch it.
Yeah.
As simple as that. I'm just happy to know that I just still have the OG Beetlejuice. And I'm just going to pretend that this movie did not exist. I'm going to forget this movie in T-minus a couple of hours. The OG Beetlejuice, you ask me about it, and I can probably recite what happens throughout the entire movie in order. In this film, I can probably tell you the 5 storylines. I do not know what order they happened in. I don't even know. It was 5 storylines. Maybe there was more or less. I don't even know. It was a mess.
Yeah, but, yeah. Agreed. I will say I like this movie better than the first movie, and I didn't like the first movie. I would not rewatch either of them though. But for Jenna Ortega's character only, will I give this movie a 2 out of 10. I rated the first movie a 1 out of 10, so I can't rate this one a 1 out of 10. So I guess I'll give it a 2.
You could, I mean, if you really wanted to.
Well, I like it better than the first movie.
Oh, okay,
so
true.
I don't dislike this one as much.
Yeah.
but I don't like it either.
Okay, yeah,
I would not
sense,
rewatch. Yeah. I would not recommend unless you like that sort of movie. But I think I am unfortunately just not a big Tim Burton fan.
You're not his target
he's a
demographic.
He's a little too weird for me. A little too dark and Halloweeny.
Yeah, and I mean that is the jam for some people.
Yeah.
I mean,
but yeah, I was not like confused plot wise. I was confused as to like why they decided to like make certain things happen. But I understood why everything was happening. I just thought their choices were dumb, and I didn't like that there's a couple of characters that don't return, and the reasons that they give in the movie for them not returning are a little dumb.
They're kind of silly.
Yeah, they're kind of silly.
There's real world reasons why they didn't come out.
Yeah. But they like kind of just like brushed over them, which I guess if you're trying to like not bring attention to the characters not being there, it's fine. But yeah, I think they just brushed over them considering how big of a big deal it was in the first movie. So yeah, I thought that was
But again, it's too many storylines that like they didn't even have time to explain what, like they couldn't have come up with something better for them. But oh well. I mean, realistically, go check it out if you're a Tim Burton fan. See what's in store for you. You might like it. Some people are loving it. But yeah, I thought it was a bit of a mixed bag as a Tim Burton fan myself. As a non-Tim Burton fan, she thought it was terrible.
Yeah. Thank God it's with the AMC Pass. I would ask for a refund.
If you need to see Beetlejuice, just watch Beetlejuice at home. The OG. That's all you need. But yeah, if you go check it out, hopefully we're posting this before anybody else does. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Till next time.